What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Superman, James Gunn's Superman. So, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects on this channel, Superman. So, James Gunn finished shooting the movie. It's currently getting edited and will be coming out next year. And of course, the first trailer is being made, ready for release probably later this year or early next year. And it sounds like they've had test audiences saying what they think about it, because let's be honest, it does make a lot of sense. They are putting a lot of money into completely rebranding the whole of DC. So would they be screen testing a trailer to make sure the first trailer bangs? I'm more than likely to believe this. And also, there's some so-called scoopers talking about what they've heard from the movie, which kind of lines up with what people are saying about the trailer. So, yo, what is freaking good, YouTube? If you're new around it, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture-based, Monsterverse-based content that I try to cover on a daily basis. Now we are getting closer to the release of the Superman movie, and now there's actually some movement on the Batman 2. We're going to start bringing the DC content back, and the Penguin TV show is sounding pretty fire. So, if you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below, what are you freaking hyped for? Going forward in the pop culture space, there's a lot coming out soon. We've got Venom 3, we got the review of the God of the Symbiote, no, we've got Joker 2, and then obviously next year we've got so much. So, if you could, become a channel member. If you could, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. And if you could, check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. Right, let's get into it. So, there is a leaked trailer description, and there's also some information coming out from some so-called scoopers that a lot of you people seem to believe. James Gunn's Superman said to be the opposite of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. Captain Obvious, but okay, let's run it. According to Scooper, Daniel RPK, this flick will be not like the DCEU and will be the opposite of what Zack Snyder did with Man of Steel 11 years. I mean, Captain Obvious, but okay. Snyder's movie had come under criticism for the violent scenes as well as Superman killing Zod, which I think is a pretty cool scene. I really hated Papa Kent's death myself. Zack then went with Batman versus Superman, which was less like than Man of Steel. Eventually, Snyder got to finish the DCU with the 4-hour cut of Justice League. Via CBM, the scooper said he heard Gunn's Superman movie fantastic and calls it a complete shift to the hardcore sci-fi fantasy, the opposite. I mean, was Man of Steel really a hardcore movie? Okay, let's just go with what it says. Daniel RPK also said that Snyder's DCU in the heroes have been around a long... It's set in a world very different from ours, far removed from the DCU. Heroes have been around for ages, and we see how it's affected the world's history and has shaped the DCU, adds the scooper. Well, this is basically all pretty obvious from the set photos and set video clips that came out when they were shooting the movie. And one thing I find really interesting is James Gunn said, even though so much stuff was shown and seen online, nothing that was shown was spoilers. Even though it basically confirms the Ultraman or Bizarro thing's true, there's literally no spoilers out there. Daniel RPK also adds it will be similar to the MCU, more in line with Star Wars have done recently, with different stories set during different timelines. The DCU will feature various projects set across different timelines, not just present day, so more in line with the approach of the Star Wars than Marvel, says the scooper. So they're basically going to copy Marvel is what this scooper's saying. I don't know if that's a good thing, but everything seems to be very positive about this movie. And I know a lot of people seem to think I hate James Gunn, which I don't actually understand why people think that. Like, just go back and see what I said about the Suicide Squad movie and Peacemaker and the Guardians Volume 3 movie. But yeah, for some reason, because I question the whole new DC, you're not allowed... I mean, the problem is you're not allowed to actually have an opinion on the internet. If you don't agree and don't think everything's going to be amazing, like I've said, if it is fire, I say it's fire. So YouTuber Mr. H Reviews recently came out with a leaked trailer description that apparently was tested with audiences to see what people thought. And it does make a lot of sense because they've spent a lot of money rebranding the whole of DC, having a new logo, probably having a new intro, changing everything, trying to make it work. I'm not sure whether I believe this $360 million has been spent on the Superman movie. I still think it should have been called Superman Legacy. Sounds way better than just Superman, but I get it. That's probably for, you know, social media engagement and to make it look like it's more popular than it is. Because if you type Superman in, it's looking like it's sending traffic towards a movie. So Mr. H Reviews can't verify and doesn't verify whether it's true or not, but I've been around for a minute and his leaked information, his sources are generally true. He was the first person to talk about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. And his information was bang on. And most of the time I've come across his info, it turns out to be true. But he also says that he can't verify this information himself. So let's go over what apparently is in the first trailer. So it starts with saying that they're doing test screenings. They've spent a lot of money. They've spent $360 million. He couldn't actually verify whether that's true, but it does make a lot of sense to test a trailer. It's something that has been done before. So yeah, he also says take it with a pinch of salt because he couldn't vet it himself. But it is standard. They do this for actual movies. Why wouldn't they do it with a trailer when they're literally rebranding our whole company? So he says the majority of the music theme was John Williams. The individual informed me that he gave the whole trailer a very positive, uplifting tone. So that's really important. They are trying to go back to that sort of feel, which is interesting. Doesn't actually mean they're going to use the John Williams score. As we know, they're not. It's just for this, marketing, research, whatever they're testing. It's probably not going to be the final trailer, but it is interesting that they are testing it. So the trailer opens with Superman crashing into the Antarctic. Snow here is shown laying curled up in the snow with some damage. Another scene reveals Lex Luthor stepping out of a helicopter in either a city or Antarctic. Source wasn't 100% clear. He looks and is portrayed to similar effect of the boldness to how James McAvoy appeared bold in the X-Men. The individual told me that they thought the smugness and arrogance was played off very well by Nicholas Hoult, which is pretty good. To be fair, he's probably the biggest actor in the movie, and he is a very good actor. They got a very good impression of the casting. The character there was another scene with Green Lantern flipping some tanks upwards, nonchalant with his powers, with a flick of his fist. There were no finish effects for this scene. Kind of standard if they are testing things. They don't generally test things when it's finished. Generally, they do it during the editing process. But the impression of the actor was very neutral. There wasn't really enough shown to see how this individual fits as Guy Gardner. There was another scene showing a woman on the 30th floor or so of a skyscraper taking a selfie whilst behind her another super character whose effect and costume appeared unfinished was shooting beams out of their hands into another building behind her. My source said it gave a sense of cringe appeal to Gen Z and social media behavior, so they didn't like that at all. There was another scene showing Superman flying with no effects finished. Superman then saves a child from an explosion by shielding and covering them with his body and cape. Another scene shows Superman in midair battle, holding back flame breathing of a Godzilla-like kaiju in the middle of a city. The effects were very rough. So it's probably not going to be a kaiju, but they have crossovered in the comics recently. I mean, guys, this is a MonsterVerse-based channel as well. Hell, if Superman's going to be fighting some kind of kaiju, I'm here for it, but I don't think that's the case. When special effects and VFX isn't done, things just look like absolutely nothing, realistically. City, the effects were very rough for this. Not sure if the finished product, will actually be a giant monster or not. It wasn't clear, but interesting. Nonetheless, there was another scene playing out which showed Lois Lane, an apparent co-worker. The source believes talking to Lois about Superman and how wonderful he is. The co-worker is sing very, very hard, jumping up and down, huge bubbly energy with a wide range grin. This part, according to my source, was very cringe. To watch the co-worker portrayed like a valley girl and is supposed to be played for laughs, but it just came across cringe. Lois' character, however, is exactly how she should be. No, very serious, dumbstruck, judgmental, engaged, one of the two, which does seem like Lois Lane, to be honest, but apparently appears as if she's holding on to a secret. The secret being she knows who Superman is, but apparently, according to leaks, that's actually going to be how the movie is supposed to actually end. The source felt very neutral about the character, but did feel there was a romantic tone in the trailer with her. So the next scene is a shot of Lois and Superman together as he rises in the air, with a very reminiscent of Superman Returns, and the rooftop scene. Wires were still shown, the effects were unfinished, so there was a scene there. They're not going to be finished if they're test screening a trailer this far out. Showing Lex Luthor seeing Superman fly past, quickly turning to the camera and walks towards the camera saying he's here, and if he has something planned, what little is shown of Lex Luthor, my source really liked in terms of how Nicholas Hoult was playing him. He just said, he's playing a very well as good description would be a younger version of Kevin Spacey, Lex Luthor, with the boldness of James McAvoy's Professor X. So Daily Planet is shown with the iconic sign overhead shot of the city, probably Metropolis. Are shown set pieces, costumes from characters in the terrain, are very reminiscent of Superman Returns. The most interesting scene to my source is one where Superman is screaming while he's being held back by an unfinished CGI character that appears to be robots. Another machine brightly looms over him. Could be anyone, realistically. And he might have been on a table. It might be because there's no visual effects. It might have been the Fortress of Solitude. He was in the first thought, you know, is that Superman appears reminiscent of Superman All-Stars, the animated movie. He has robot helpers in his Fortress of Solitude, is an advanced stage in his use of the Fortress of Solitude. So that might have been him trying to help out. Not really sure. I mean, it's really hard to work out what's going on if special effects are not there, to be honest. But we can only go over what the information says. My source said, can easily recall there were then given a questionnaire to basically say how they felt everything went, and that's pretty much the idea of a test screening, whether it be for a trailer or a whole movie. Did go on to say there was a questionnaire that brought up crypto, but the source didn't see crypto, so kind of unofficially says, yeah, potentially crypto could be in the movie. Interesting. Like the kaiju scene with the giant kaiju looking thing sounds pretty interesting. So overall, like, this is generally what happens. John Williams' score was played, Superman crashing into the snow, the suit battle damage, because you remember the suit that actually was revealed as the first official image looked nothing like the first image, so there probably will be multiple suits. Lex Luthor stepping out of a helicopter, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern flips a tank, woman taking a selfie, some shooting energy out of a hand, Superman protecting a child, Superman fighting a kaiju, combat accurate Lois Lane at the Daily Planet, Superman and Lois flying, kind of romantic, Superman screaming, trying to hold back something. So it's pretty interesting. Sounds pretty decent if it's true. Like I said, Mr. H Reviews has pretty good information. His leaks are generally mostly always right, so I'm inclined to believe this, but is it true? We don't know. Find out when they actually drop the trailer, sometime probably towards the end of the year. Maybe they might drop something at New York Comic Con that's coming up very soon. We don't know, but it sounds pretty dope. So like always, like I've said, the DC content will be coming back when there's actually something to talk about. I would definitely cover some DC stuff. As you know, massive Superman fan, covered a lot of Superman stuff over the years, so like always, guys, accreditation to the actual source came from Mr. H. Check that video out if you want, but I've generally gone over everything that's going around, and the scoop is talking about, you know, the positivity, and the trailer sounds quite positive from what I understand and from what's being said. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu, check us out on Twitter, I will catch you guys in another video very soon. Catch you later.